Heinemann Higher Maths, Essential Skills. This is exercise 6, algebraic fractions. A little bit nicer than completing the square, which was exercise 5. Let's have a look at them. Before adding or subtracting fractions, we need to have a common denominator. We need to have the same term on the bottom of each fraction. So here we do. So once we have that, we just subtract or add the tops, whatever we've been asked to do. So 4 over x subtract 3 over x is 1 over x. For example, 4/5 subtract 3/5 would be 1/5. Part B, a over 2 plus b over 7. So we do not have a common factor, a common denominator. So we must make the 2 and the 7 into a number. So we look for the lowest common multiple of both 2 and 7, which is 14. In other words, the smallest number that 2 and 7 both divide into. So if I'm turning the 2 into the 14, I am multiplying the top by 7. So I've got to do that. So 7a over 14 is just exactly the same as a over 2. It's the same fraction, just written a different way. Here I'm turning the 7 into a 14 for the denominator, so I need to multiply the top by the same number, so I need to multiply the top by 2 as well. And once I've done that, I'll just write 7a plus 2b all over 14, just to make it one fraction. You may have seen something where you do 7 times a, 2 times b, multiply these two together. It works sometimes, it's not a great method to use every time. Here we have a 5y and a 4y. The lowest common multiple of 4 and 5y is 20y. So I'm multiplying top and bottom here by 4, top and bottom here by 5. So I've got 16 over 20y, subtract 5 over 20y, which is 11 over 20y, nice and easy. Now, if we'd gone for the method where you do the 4y times a 4, the 1 times a 5y, then 5y times a 4y, you'd end up with 16y minus 5y over 20y squared. Then you'd have to start cancelling down afterwards, whereas this method takes us straight to the answer. So obviously I would suggest doing it this way. D, a over x subtract b over y. Again, we need a common denominator. The lowest common multiple of x and y is xy. So here multiply top and bottom by y. Second fraction multiply top and bottom by x. So I have ay subtract bx all over this common denominator of xy. So e bracket over 2 plus different bracket over 3. So we're getting into a sort of standard 3-mark National 5 question here, slightly tricky. Can sort of sort out the higher candidates from the pupils who kind of don't really continue with the maths as far as higher. So again here, looking for a common denominator, the lowest common multiple of 2 and 3 is 6. So I need to multiply the top and bottom of this fraction by 3, the top and bottom of this fraction by 2. So I have a common denominator of 6. So I'm just going to multiply out the terms on the top. So 3x plus 15, 2x subtract 4. I'm just going to tidy up. So 3x add 2x is 5x. 15 subtract 4 is 11, all over 6. All right, we can have a go at exercise 7. Sorry, exercise 6 on page 327. I'm going to look at 2 slightly harder examples now. We have 3 over x minus 2 subtract 5 over x. So again, we're just looking for a common denominator. The lowest common multiple of x minus 2 and x is x bracket x minus 2. So we're multiplying top and bottom here by x, top and bottom in the second fraction by x minus 2. And once we've done that, we do have common denominator of x minus 2. And just multiplying out the top, so 3x is just 3x. Here we have negative 5 times x, negative 5 times negative 2, which is where the plus 10 comes from. Tidy up the top of the fraction. negative 2x plus 10 over x minus 2. So some of you might be thinking, well, can I not just write subtract 2 on top and bottom here? That doesn't really work. Let's have a quick example why it doesn't work. Say I had 2/7 plus 5/9. Okay, so we've got x minus 2 and x here. So essentially, you know, if x was 9, we'd have 9 take 2 is 7, and here we'd have 9. So we can't just say I'm going to take 2 away from both of these. That doesn't work. 3 over 7 is not the same as 5 over 9. They're totally different fractions. Whereas when we're multiplying top and bottom to find equivalent fractions, they are the same. So to find an equivalent fraction, we must be multiplying. We can't just add and subtract from the top or the numerator, the denominator, top or the bottom. Alright, example B. Multiplying this by something to make this. Well, that looks quite tricky, so I'm going to try and factorize this bit first. So all I'm doing on the second line is factorizing this. So if you've done the previous exercises, hopefully you're a black belt in factorizing these by now. So factors of 12, so it could be 12 and 1, 4 and 3, 6 and 2. To get the plus 7a, it would have to be the 4 and the 3. Just check the middle terms here. 3 times a, 4 times a. Add them together, we do indeed get 7a. So going from this line down to this line. Now we do have something a little bit nicer looking here. Again, this is one where it would all go wrong if you start cross-multiplying that up to there and that up to there. And multiplying these together, you're going to have bracket, bracket, bracket on the bottom. You're going to have 3 brackets on the bottom, which is quite unpleasant. Whereas all we really need to do is multiply the second fraction by a plus 3 on top and bottom. Now we have a common denominator. And we've got a minus 5 here. Multiply out this, so that'll be 2a plus 6. Tidy them up. Again, if you're doing the thing where you put that up there, this up here, multiply these two together, you're going to get something very unpleasant there. So try and get out of the habit of using that if you're still doing it. That's not good. Right, so have a go at exercise 7 from the Essential Skills chapter.